Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to most likely the first video on this channel, which I have not come up with a name for it yet, but this will not stop me from making this video, which is going to be a tier list video ranking different national flags of Southeast Asian countries. Now, for those of you who are living in the medieval ages, Southeast Asia is located here and consists of 11 countries. And because of it being a naval choke point between East Asia as well as the Western Hemisphere, it has become a cultural hotpot for various traditions, ethnicity, people, and most importantly, the food. Now, as a Southeast Asian myself, who subjectively believes that he has a great taste in art, I'll be ranking these flags based on two categories, which are design and meaning. So before I start, I've got to give a big shout out to my boy Malcolm _005 for creating such an amazing tier list consisting of all the flags of Asia countries. However, we will not be needing to use all of them, as the first 11 is sufficient enough. So first up we have Thailand, the land of smiles, the kingdom of elephants, and a country that has never been conquered by any outside forces before. And as you can see, they've adopted a flag of 5 stripes consisting of the colors of liberty, which are red, white, and blue. Red representing the blood of the people, white representing the purity of Buddhism, and blue being royalty, if I'm not mistaken. And to be brutally honest, I'm actually quite disappointed with this flag because I believe it's far too simplistic for Thailand, which is a country that has such a proud history and such close ties with its monarchy and Buddhism as a whole. I mean, just slap on an elephant or maybe something related to Buddhism at any corner of the flag or even the center of the flag, and it makes it so much better. And because of this, I would put it in the lowest tier, which is could have done better. I mean, just take a look at its predecessor, which is literally a red flag with a badass elephant in the middle. It's so much better, man, seriously. Ooh, we have a spicy one next. We have Malaysia, the food haven of Asia, in my opinion. And that's a fact, that's a literal fact. You can't change my mind on that. Now, before I carry on, I'm just going to immediately move this up to A tier. And it's not because of biasness, nor is it because I might get into deep trouble if I put this anything below B tier or C tier. It's because I genuinely like this flag. I think it's a very simple flag, yet intricate at the same time. And I think it really represents the values and the characteristics of the country very well. For example, crescent moon and the 14 pointed star represents the sultan and the official religion, which is Islam. And as I said, it's a very meaningful flag, to be honest, and I really like it. So next up we have Singapore, the island state that is actually smaller than Hong Kong, but it doesn't really matter since it's the richest country in Southeast Asia. And fun fact, it was actually part of Malaysia up until 1965, but because of some political reasons, and they broke away from Malaysia, and they are now an independent state. Now, with that being said, red represents the universal brotherhood of Singaporeans, white is for purity and virtue, the crescent moon actually represents a rising nation on the ascendants, and the 5 stars represent the 5 ideals of democracy. Now, to be totally honest, I think the meaning behind this flag is spot on, because they did well when they put emphasis on the future, on the young people and the future generations. And it's something that I can really stand behind it if I were a Singaporean myself. However, I think it's kind of bland. It's a very mediocre flag. It's not something that you would look twice when you see it. So it's going to be in the B tier. So moving on, we have Brunei, a country so filthy rich it has more oil than water. Also nicknamed the Saudi Arabia of Southeast Asia due to its abundance of oil in its natural reserves. However, we're not here to talk about how rich a country is, we're here to talk about its flag. So, Brunei's flag consists of a yellow background, which resembles its monarchy, black and white stripes representing its two chief ministers, a superbly designed coat of arms that comprises of a crescent moon representing Islam, which is its state religion, and parasol symbols of royalty. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush any longer, as this flag is automatically an S tier, man. Seriously, there are two things I love about this flag. First is its symmetry. Second is its colors. Now, when it comes to symmetry, I'm focusing primarily on its coat of arms. Now, it's not every day you see palms being integrated into a flag of a Islam state country, and because they did this, it just adds so much balance into the flag as a whole, and I'm a big fan of it. I'm in love with it. And when it comes to the colors, it's not every day you see as well that a flag with a yellow background is so well designed, because sometimes anything yellow can come off as cringy because it's too bright, and with the yellow, with the white, with the black and the red, it just ties everything together, man. So next up we have Laos, the only landlocked country in Southeast Asia. And just a personal thought, I think it sucks to be a landlocked country. I mean, it would be hard for them to build up their naval power, and I would assume they would have to rely heavily on their neighbors when it comes to international trade. So with all that sentimental vibes out of the way, we'll be looking at the flag. Now, you can fight me over this, but I firmly believe that the Laos flag has one of the best meanings and symbolisms among the flags of the whole wide world. Okay, so let me explain. So take a look at the two red stripes on the top and bottom of the flag. It actually represents the blood of the people on the banks, and I'm not talking about greedy banks. I'm talking about river banks, more specifically the Mekong River bank. And speaking of the Mekong River bank, it is actually also represented in the flag by it being a blue stripe across the center of the flag. Now, this is understandable, and I think it's very appropriate for them to do so, because the Mekong River has always been an integral part of this country, be it in the past or even in the present, and I would assume in the future as well. And now let's look at the elephant in the room, the white circle at the dead center of the flag that actually symbolizes a full moon, damn it man, rising above the Mekong River and also representing prosperity. I mean, it's just the meaning, and so much meaning and symbolism packed into one flag. It has mythical ties, and it has historical ties, and even a touch of modern meaning behind it. And I'm gonna be totally honest, the design seems kind of iffy, seems like something a t-shirt printing company would come up with when you go there, but the meaning, it's just so good. I would genuinely move it up a tier just because of its meaning, and I love it. So next up we have East Timor, one of the newer countries to be formed after its independence from Indonesia in 2002. And fun fact, it actually shares an island with Indonesia. It's actually cut, I think, through half. It boasts a primarily red flag with two triangles stacked upon each other and a white star on the far left of the flag. Now, red represents the nation's struggle to gain independence. The yellow triangle represents the remnants of a colonial influence that still influences the country to this day. The black triangle represents the dangers of obscurantism, and the white star represents peace and light that guides to a brighter future. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I don't like the meaning of the flag. Shouldn't a flag be something that inspires its citizens or maybe the future generation? And the warnings are very dark. It doesn't breed hope, although the white star symbolizes hope. I don't feel hope after knowing the meaning of this flag, and it's just, it doesn't breed confidence in me for some reason. I mean, I'm a very big fan of its design. It's a very unconventional design, very left field shot, something you wouldn't see every day. But the meaning, it's the meaning that very turned me off, and because of it, I'm going to drag it down to the C tier. Damn, we have a big boy next. We have Cambodia, formerly known as the country of Campuchia. Campuchia. Man, don't roast me, guys. I'm really trying my best with the pronunciations right here. But before I carry on to the explanations, the flag explanation, I think I'll be doing this flag injustice if it remains in the B tier for any longer. Because in my opinion, I think this flag is one of the best flags in the world. Legit, man. Now, red represents bravery, while blue represents unity and cooperation of the Cambodian people. And the white structure, the white magnificent structure in the middle of the flag is none other than the Angkor Wat. And if you ask me, there's nothing else that can truly symbolize Cambodia as a whole, or represent Cambodia as a whole, than the Angkor Wat. You can see that each line, each curvature, each detail is drawn to perfection. The attention to detail is truly superb inside the flag. There are like hardly no flaws inside the flag, and I'm just very satisfied with the flag. And I would say that it's truly remarkable for them to pull off such an intricate and complicated design with a canvas that has such bold colors, because it just flows together, man. It just flows together. It seems natural, although it's a building. It seems natural on the flag, and you don't get to say that often. So next up, we head over to Indonesia, the country that has the most islands in Asia. Now, the red in this flag is representative of the blood of the people, whereas white is representative of the purity of the spirits of the people. Now, I'm aware of its communist past, but one cannot help but wonder if this is just lazy work, because you have other countries, other communist countries in the past and in the present, for example China and Soviet Union, who both have more commanding flags, more flags that are more distinct, flags that draw your attention. And this to me is just lazy and sloppy. It's basically just the Poland flag but turned upside down, and because of this, the only tier that it belongs to, in my eyes at least, is the D tier, because it's just lazy. So next up we have Burma, and I assume everyone is already aware of the military coup that happened in the beginning of the year, and to be honest, I'm totally appalled by it. So thoughts and praise out to my Burmese brothers and sisters. You guys really deserve better. But getting your attention back to the flag, yellow represents solidarity, green represents peace and vegetation, red represents valor, whereas the white star represents union. Now, to be honest, I can stand behind the meaning of the flag, but I think it's somewhat odd that you must display vegetation in front of your flag. Maybe it's an important sector to them, but I don't think it's to the extent where you must show it on your flag. But it is what it is. And when it comes to the design, some people might hate it because it's a funky design, and people might think that it resembles more of a traffic light rather than a flag. But to me, I think it's a very unconventional design, and I like bold things. This to me is a very iconic flag. When you see it, you won't really, it's hard for you to forget it because of the shades of the colors of the flag. And personally, I'm a big fan of the green and the yellow. I mean, the overall sequence of the colors, because it's not every day you see something as bright, as captivating in a flag than the Burmese flag. So to me, I would actually give it an A tier. I think it really deserves a spot in the A tier due to its boldness. Big fan of it. So we then head on to Vietnam. Americans' favorite place during the 1960s and 1970s, and the place where forests and trees and jungles are somehow equipped with automatic weapons that fire at will for some reason. But all jokes aside, Vietnam is a great place. Let's decipher the flag. Now, it's quite self-explanatory that Vietnam was once a communist country based on its very, very bright red background, which also symbolizes the many victories that Vietnam had in the past. And we'll move on to the Big Daddy, which is the yellow 5-pointed star in the middle of the flag, which symbolizes the 5 main classes during the communist regime, which are the traders, the craftsmen, the peasants, the militaries, and the scholars. Now, when it comes to the meaning of the flag, which I just stated, the stars in the background, I'm a big fan of it. It's rather simplistic, but it gets the job done. The design, it's actually rather good considering that it was once a communist country, because communist countries usually have very simplistic, very bland design, as you can see with Indonesia. But with this flag, it's simple, but it gets the job done, and I like it. I'm very tempted to put it in A tier next to Burma, but when you put the two side by side, you can't really have the two next to each other because one has 4 colors, and to me it's just so much more bold, so much more iconic, so much more recognizable than Vietnam. And last but not least, we have the Philippines. The white triangle that is located at the left side of the flag represents the Katipunan organization, which is a society that helped the United States of America overthrow the Spanish government during the 18th or 17th century, if not mistaken. The stars represent the 3 principal islands, Luzon, Mindanao, and Panay. The 8 rays represent the 8 provinces that were at the forefront of the revolution. And the color scheme of the flag, which is blue, red, and white, was actually incorporated to commemorate the United States of America. Now, if I'm a Filipino, I will be very satisfied with this flag because it's soothing, it's easily recognizable, and to me, I love the sun in the middle of the flag. You can see that the people who designed the sun, they put the effort into creating something that no other flag has done so. And the rays, there are many little details in the rays, the shape of the rays, big fan of it. But that being said, I don't think the Philippine flag is worthy of being in the same tier as Brunei and Cambodia, because although it's recognizable, it's not that recognizable, if you know what I mean. And to me, you can't put it in the same tier as Singapore and Vietnam, because if you do so, it's like a disrespect to the Philippines. As I said, I love the design, I love the meaning. So to me, the only sensible option is to move it up a tier, into A tier. So with that out of the way, we have reached the final rankings of this tier list. And to be honest, I'm actually pretty satisfied with how it turned out. I would assume that I've been equally fair and consistent with my assessment, but if you have any disagreements with me, or maybe discrepancies, or if you really want to roast me, feel free to do so in the comment section below. Share them with me. I would take my time to reply to most of them, to all of them if possible. And please do support a small channel like me by liking and sharing the video, as well as subscribing, as I promise there will be more interesting content coming up with better production. So stay tuned and goodbye.